I was doing some product photography in the basement last night. Yay! I spent half the day editing some shots for a business's website. Exciting! I actually like doing business photography. It's simple, it pays well, and you don't actually have to deal with a lot of people. Their advertising budget, if they're smart, 99 times out of 100 is a tax write-off. That's also the reason why they don't bother you. Okay? Now the title of this video is Best Cameras in 2020. Okay? Not the best cameras of 2020. If I said best cameras of 2020, it means it had to have been like released or announced in 2020. So before someone complains and say, hey, that camera didn't come out this year, that camera came out a year or so ago. No, best cameras in 2020. There's a couple Nikon cameras here in no specific order, so I have a few of them, no specific order. Best camera of 2020 is the Nikon D850. Nikon D850. Easily the best DSLR ever made. Incredible. It's the poor man's medium format camera. It's the Nikon. And by the way, even though it's not on my list, everybody keeps saying this is the Nikon D500. I'm filming my bald, tattooed self right now on a Nikon D500. People say, is the Nikon D500 still valid for 2020? And the answer is yes. It is still as valid today as when it came out. Nikon D500, exactly as I said, and I was the first person to say it, and I might have been the only person to say it, is kind of a future-proof camera. You know, they're going to make something better and faster, but if you got a Nikon D500, you can look at the, even though it came out years ago, you could say, you know, I'm happy with my D500. That is part of what future-proof means. Electronics are never ultimately future-proof, except for a Nikon D4. Or Fujifilm GFX. Actually, the two most future-proof digital cameras would be a Nikon D4 and GFX. We're not talking about $60,000 Phase 1 cameras here, by the way. You know, nobody's in the market for that, especially in the year 2020. I never have been. I'm not interested in buying a camera that's worth about as much as the house that I'm living in right here, which is a 2-story house, 3-bedroom. Yeah, I'm not too interested in that. Also, too, in no particular order, is the Fujifilm XS10. This was actually a huge surprise for me because even though it's called the XS10, and of course I've got a review on the XS10, what it is, what it's not, it's essentially just an XT40. Yeah? It's an XT40. Let's just call it exactly what it is. Don't care if you call it an XS10. I actually found this camera quite surprising. I actually said it's the best single best grab it and do it all. Also single best compact, not with his lens on it, but the compact do it all travel camera that I've ever had my hands on. I mean that when I say it. So, second camera on the list is the XS10. Next camera on the list, and I reviewed it, and people were shocked when I did because I'm not a fan of the Nikon Z-mount cameras. I just lastly reviewed the Nikon Z6 Mark II. It's a good camera, but it's not a great camera. However, the Nikon Z5 is a great do-it-all, inexpensive, full-frame camera. Nikon Z5, dual card slot. Essentially, in a roundabout fashion, it's a mirrorless Nikon D750, except a lot cheaper. I used to have a D750. Nikon Z5 is awesome. Well, I mean, it's not super awesome, but I mean, it's basically a great camera for cheap costs. Cheap thrills, full format, very good performance camera, so the Nikon Z5. I'm going to leave this camera for last. Third camera on the list is the Fujifilm XT4. I've written about this in my free Fujifilm book, which is in the link below. I believe in vertical grips on everything. This is the camera that does it all, is it all. Is the reason why I keep it on this table, because I'm always grabbing it and taking it out and doing things with it. How I'm usually grabbing my medium format camera because I'm a total medium format junkie. I mean, I completely love medium format to the sun and back. And lastly, my favorite camera, my favorite Well, actually, I've said that before. I was about to say my favorite digital camera, but it is actually my favorite camera of all time, both film and digital. My favorite film camera is my Nikon F4S. I had a pair of them in photography school. But really, my favorite love cameras was my pair of 6.7 Pentaxes. Those obnoxiously huge, loud, and heavy beasts. I don't know if you take it out. By the way, I sewed this. This is lambskin container for my Fujifilm GFX 50R. It's like, well, that's not a new camera. I told you, this is the best cameras in 2020, not the best cameras of 2020. Currently on sale. I'm completely convinced that this camera has been sold out now for many, many months, not because it's on sale, partially so, but because I keep telling everybody people say, well, this is not a camera that's really great for hardcore sports action wildlife. No, it's not. And the answer to that is I don't give a single damn. It doesn't matter. My favorite camera of all time period is this. It's a brick, and I've told everybody you need to get the grip-built GB001, which I actually have on my GFX 50R here. You slip your hand in so you can actually let your hand breathe a little bit. You won't drop your camera, because the camera is kind of shaped like a brick. Nobody's saying this camera has the best ergonomics in the world, but for $3,500, by the way, there's not a single person on this earth, too, with 2 brain cells that has said, and I have the GFX 100, okay, 102 megapixel medium format with IBIS, much faster, a lot of things, but it's a lot bigger too, obviously so. There's not a single person that's ever looked at a full-blown TIFF file on a 4K or 5K display and said anything other than, my God, that's awesome. That's exactly what the files look like. I've waited 15 nearly years for a affordable, awesome, simple, digital medium format camera, and here it is, and the only people on earth that delivered that, even close to delivering it, Fujifilm did deliver it, is this, the GFX 50R by Fujifilm. And I'm certain that's the reason why this camera has been sold out for a really long time, not just because it's on sale at $1,000 off for $3,500. So here's the list once again: the Nikon D850, the Nikon Z5, the XS10, the XT4, and the GFX 50R. And yes, the Nikon D500 is still as valid today as it ever was. Things are faster and better now than the D500. Not really. Actually, for tracking birds, the Nikon D500, actually, and this is a factor, many YouTubers that have said it, not just me, is better at tracking birds in flight than the Nikon D850 is. There's a reason for that, because the autofocus area has broader coverage on the crop sensor of a D500 than that same sized autofocus area and the module that it reflects to from the secondary mirror on the Nikon D850. That's why the D500, even though it came much earlier than the D850, tracks birds better in flight from left to right or up to down, so on and so forth. But anyway, I hope you all have a happy holidays for 2020. I know a lot of camera companies are suffering because this year, 2020, has been an abysmal hell. You know that, and I know that. But right now, you know, camera companies are in hibernation, sorta. Not really, but relative to past years, they certainly are. And so are people in their buying habits. I mean, everybody knows that. No one's in denial of that. So, yeah, I didn't bring out the D850, and of course I do not have a Nikon D5. I would love to have one. It's like, well, why didn't you buy a D5? Because I've got like, how many cameras do I have? I got 13 pro-level cameras. That's a lot. I don't need another camera, but if I didn't have any, actually if I didn't have any, I'd get the XT4 and the GF. If I only had 2 cameras to do everything, it would be, well, for product photography, it might be my, you could do really all the product photography in the world with this. How do you like this lambskin case? Oh, it's so buttery soft. It's just like, I could see this would be like hugging a supermodel's face. It's just so smooth. Not that I would know. I've had too much caffeine. Apologize for that. Anyway, have a happy holidays, and thanks for watching. Get out and take pictures, which is what I would have been doing today if the weather wasn't abysmal, snowing, wet, cold, dark, overcast, and awful. I don't like wintertime. Did I mention I don't like wintertime? Thank you. Goodbye.